Yeah, so I was at that. Joe usually would work at the person. Yeah, so she left her 27. So it's like, first she was worried about check up. And then she's like, look at it, ask no screw. But yeah, she's they already so they have some PR and so she's already oh no, I'm saying there is the conversion. Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised.
Thank you.
Hi, girls. Hello. That's my girls. How are you?
You know what? Have fun.
So,
I know.
it's like, okay.
I'm squeezing from the back. I'm just squeezing from the back. I'm here.
Are you leaving right after this?
I can't believe you did that.
I know, doesn't she look pretty? I told her how pretty she looks.
I got Lauren's outfit on.
I'm in.
Yeah, I said I was going to wear Lauren's outfit.
There's like a blue.
Christmas revenge.
Here, you look very pretty.
Yeah, like, she's a bit.
Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. Hi. Nice to meet you. Oh my gosh.
You're the one I talked to.
Yes, we've been
I
having a
sent the
Facebook.
picture kind of late, sorry.
Don't worry, we're all done. We got it. We got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Are you going home today or just?
So I went to see the doctor and entire families and friends. So I can get to the doctor. Thank you.
Otherwise, I would have said you could have come over and stayed by us.
And what a treat. That would have been amazing. No, I gotta go. I had my kids were done from
Ouch, yeah.
Yeah. I'm fresh off of things. So I gotta go in and have it.
Yeah, so I could go on Lauren's outfit.
How did she look so much like her when I've seen that before?
I wore it on purpose.
Where are you sitting? Okay.
I'm controlling the camera.
I wish you would have told us sooner. Then you could have.
She's here.
All right, you owe us one.
I owe you one, definitely.
Oh, you go.
Yeah, go. I'm like, we're running time, so I'll see you in a bit, but thank you for being here.
So we don't have any 26 in cows.
Yes.
Hey, like I hear. Oh, that's part. There are all kinds of stuff. It's all right.
Going to get a candle.
Well, I do just love it. I put it together. I got to turn this around. Trying to come with the sun. Like real rich.
So if that was here, I'd be sure it's to work. Yeah, so I can join.
Into my chiropractor.
78 Central.
78
Well, Eastern. You gotta remember that.
He said,
Yeah.
We do that bad, have to see myself. Let me figure it out.
I'm awesome.
but he always says, I have this other research. They're great.
Upgrade you guys did.
You don't got She's sick now or she get better? She's better. But she was
3 months. Just hold it. Take your time. Told me, God said, study and go see it. And it's more. Now, we've seen each other twice already, and well, that's good. She was like, we'll do it another time. But so we're arranging at least 2 or 3 times. No, not a week.
Yeah. Well, it's good to get to see.
But how you do? We'll talk later.
Okay, no problem.
Thinking about you.
Hanging in there.
I'm serving some snacks and stuff like that.
I really haven't eaten all day.
Oh, they got the good stuff. I probably should cook it.
Well,
That many people just do that. I might take a trip.
I'll take you to go back.
Right.
This thing keeps coming on.
What twist on the top? The thing's so weird. Yeah. So, yeah. You got to loosen it up. This is the left one when it turns.
Good afternoon, everyone. If I can get everyone to take their seats, please, we'll get started. So good afternoon and welcome. My name is Rita Kreslin and I am the Executive Director for the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists. On behalf of all the victims of impaired, distracted, and reckless driving crashes and all those committed to preventing them, it is an honor and a privilege to welcome you to Secretary of State's annual Candlelight Ceremony. We are here because Secretary Giannoulias understands the profound and far-reaching consequences of reckless driving. His compassion and concern bring us all together, not only to honor and remember those lives stolen in this crime, but to also celebrate the light they brought, those that brought light to this world. Let me be clear, there are no accidents. Calling them accidents minimize the truth. The tragedies that result from these types of crime are intentional and people make poor decisions. These tragedies, driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, choosing to text or use an electronic device specifically for social media while driving, ignoring laws and speed limits. These are crashes, not accidents, and we must say that clearly for the victims, their families, and the future. This ceremony has been held for many years, not just for those who have lost their lives, but for those whose fight remains ahead of them and for the public. It is a moment to reflect, to remember, and to raise awareness of how impaired and reckless driving destroys lives in a heartbeat. Today we remember every life taken. We stand with every survivor, and we honor every family as they navigate the unbearable grief. Everyone here today has a personal connection to this mission. You are here because you deeply care about changing the culture that surrounds dangerous driving. While alcohol-impaired driving has declined, drug-impaired driving is rising, particularly with marijuana. The number of drivers testing positive for cannabis is growing rapidly. Cannabis is now the most prevalent drug found in impaired drivers, and studies show that the risk of being in a crash doubles when it's used. According to the Illinois Department of Transportation, in 2023, there were over 299,000 crashes, 820 crashes, and more than 3 fatalities a day. Distracted driving is a growing crisis. While impaired driving remains a crisis as well, distracted driving is rapidly becoming the most urgent roadway threat. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, distracted driving claimed over 3,000 lives in 2022, and we know many more go unreported. The ripple effect of these tragedies are felt not just in statistics, but in the empty chairs at our families' dinner tables, silent birthdays, and families who have been changed forever. Yes, today is painful, but it's also a hopeful event. Let this ceremony be a reminder that healing is possible and that change is necessary. Let it open your hearts and your minds to what we can still do together as a community. At this time, I'd like to recognize a few important people here in the audience. Of course, our host, Illinois Secretary of State, Alexi Giannoulias, Deputy Secretary of State, Scott Berman, our co-host, my co-host, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Erin Doherty, Rosemont Deputy Chief, Blake Fiorito, AIM Vice President, Ari Briskman, Reverend John Clemens, our vocalist, Ernie Brown, and 2 families who will share personal stories of how impaired and reckless driving devastated their lives, John Morjol and Abdul Bong Obong. I'd also like to recognize a few other people in the audience, Lake County Sheriff John Eidelberg, my personal IDOT grant manager, Christopher Peters, AAA, Jim, I'm going to mess up his name, I wrote you in at the last minute, but AAA is here representing their agency, Ernie Brown, who is our vocalist. I also like to recognize the very important agencies in our audience, all of AIM and MAD's staff and victim advocates, AIM and MAD board members, the law enforcement and first responders that are here today, Please know that each and every one of you are appreciated, and your support is definitely well appreciated. So at this time, I'd also like to introduce the Reverend who will give our prayer today. Reverend John Clements has devoted over 5 decades to spiritual service in the Archdiocese of Chicago. Ordained in 1972, he served numerous parishes before leading St. Gregory the Great as pastor for 13 years. In 2008, he became the beloved pastor of this church, Our Lady of Hope, where he now serves emeritus. Among his most meaningful work was serving as spiritual director for the youth-focused Search for Christian Maturity, where he inspired and mentored thousands of young people, building lifelong connections. Proud of his Luxembourg heritage and devoted to his large family, Father Clemens is known for his sense of humor, his love of golf, his unwavering support for the Chicago Cubs, and though he's never really thoroughly retired, he is dedicated to the faith and remains strong. Please welcome my friend, Father John Clemens.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. This is a season of light. A season of light because God comes to the world to bring light, peace, and joy to the world. We celebrate that during this season. And so it's appropriate for us to be here today celebrating light. So the prayer is, God, come to us. Come and bring your light, especially to those who are in the darkness still of grief because of the tragedy that befell their families and their friends. Bring light to that darkness, your peace and your comfort to them. We gather today to honor them, to pray for them, be with them, and bring them your light. In God's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Erin Doherty. I am MAD's Regional Executive Director for Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin. I am truly humbled to be here tonight with all of you and with our guests. To honor and remember all of your loved ones and all of those that have been impacted by impaired driving. Tonight it is my privilege to welcome several folks who have moved our mission forward and continue to do so every day in the work that they do. First, we are honored to welcome Deputy Chief Blake Fiorito, who has served with the Rosemont Public Safety Department for 19 years, overseeing the patrol and detective divisions. Deputy Chief Fiorito brings with him years of experience in law enforcement and public safety leadership. His commitment to protecting our communities and preventing impaired driving tragedies is evident in both his work and his heart. We are grateful for his continued partnership in this mission and in the support that he offers both victims and agencies working to serve them. Please join me in welcoming Deputy Chief Blake Fiorito.
Thank you for that introduction. And thank you, Secretary Giannoulias and the staff at AAIM for organizing this meaningful ceremony. On behalf of the Village of Rosemont and the Rosemont Public Safety Department, it is our privilege and honor to participate in this Candlelight Ceremony and to continue supporting the mission of the Alliance Against Intoxicating Orders. In my years of public service, I have witnessed many tragic events. None have been more devastating than the preventable death and destruction caused by intoxicated or distracted motorists. The consequences of their actions ripple outward, impacting countless innocent people and forever altering the lives of survivors, families, and friends. This ceremony provides a powerful way for people to heal together, grow as a community, and bring a greater awareness to this critical issue. Impaired and distracted driving is not just a local or even statewide issue. It is a national challenge that requires constant attention, education, and action. Our department, along with agencies across Illinois, works closely with the Illinois Department of Transportation by participating in multiple enforcement campaigns throughout the year. These include impaired driving, speeding, distracted driving, and safety restraint violations. These initiatives, combined with our daily traffic enforcement efforts, are designed to reduce fatalities through a blend of education and enforcement, with the ultimate goal of changing behavior. Although Rosemont has a relatively small residential population, nearly 100,000 people visit our village every day. Our mission is simple: ensure everyone traveling to and through Rosemont arrives safely. The selfless men and women of the Rosemont Public Safety Department remain committed, motivated, and dedicated to making that difference. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today, and our department will continue to support the vital mission of the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Ari Briskman. Ari Briskman has served in law enforcement in Northern Illinois for nearly 20 years with a distinguished focus on traffic safety and impaired driving prevention. As one of the few certified drug recognition expert instructors and a nationally recognized impaired driving trainer, Ari has educated thousands of officers and prosecutors across the country. He is also a certified crash reconstructionist and has been instrumental in investigating and prosecuting fatal and serious injury crashes caused by impaired drivers. Ari's expertise has been acknowledged in courtrooms throughout Illinois, and his efforts have earned recognition from state and national traffic safety organizations. His commitment to saving lives extends beyond policing. He serves as Vice President of the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists, or AAIM, and his active collaboration with both AIM and MAD efforts reflects his deep dedication to preventing impaired driving and supporting victims. His leadership and advocacy are truly admirable, and he continues to make a lasting impact on public safety. Please welcome Ari Briskman.
Thank you, Erin. Secretary Giannoulias, other honored guests, and my fellow traffic safety advocates, my name is Ari Briskman, and I'm the Vice President of the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists. I'm also a career law enforcement officer, having spent nearly 2 decades in public safety. Today, as we honor the memory of the victims of crashes, we must never forget that these crashes are just that, crashes. They are not accidents. Far too many innocent people have been killed due to another person's selfish and thoughtless decision to drive impaired by alcohol or drugs, or to drive too fast, or to drive distracted. While losing a loved one is never easy, these deaths were made more tragic because of their entirely preventable nature. In my career, I've had the unfortunate duty to notify many people of their loved one's death. I gently try to explain to them the how, the where, and the when, but the one question I can never answer is why. Why did this happen? Why did my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my child have to die? The answer is that there is no reason. It should never have happened, but for the terrible choice made by another person. We can all agree that these tragedies are one of the things that bind us as a people. Roadway safety crosses the boundaries of race, gender, orientation, and political beliefs. We all want to get to work, to school, to the store, or home to our loved ones. No family should ever again have to suffer the loss resulting from something entirely preventable. While I am truly honored to speak to you today, I wish we never had to hold this event again. We are blessed to have so many people here who care deeply about traffic safety. Secretary Giannoulias, the staff at his office, the advocates and volunteers at the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists, and Mothers Against Drunk Driving. It is within our power to keep up this fight and ensure that I and all law enforcement officers never again have to deliver the worst news of their life. Never have to deliver to someone the worst news of their life. If one more person dies on our roadways, that is one too many. Thank you all for being here, for caring, and most importantly, for honoring the victims. May their memory be for a blessing. Thank you.
Next, I have the honor of introducing Alexi Giannoulias. Alexi Giannoulias was sworn in as Illinois' 38th Secretary of State in 2023, overseeing the largest Secretary of State's office in the nation with more than 4,000 employees and 25 departments. Giannoulias' top priorities have been to enhance road safety, modernize office operations, and improve customer services for Illinois residents. To raise awareness about the dangers and consequences of distracted driving, Giannoulias launched a multifaceted One Road, One Focus public safety campaign in April. The initiative features a new video requirement for student drivers, billboard ads to raise awareness, and expanded distracted driving patrols. In 2024, legislation championed by Giannoulias went effect, making it illegal to use video conference apps, watch videos, or access social media while driving. In 2006, Giannoulias was elected Illinois State Treasurer, becoming the youngest state treasurer in the nation at age 30. After leaving the treasurer's office in 2011, Giannoulias was appointed as chairman of the Illinois Community College System, overseeing the state's 48 community colleges. He also served as senior director at BNY Mellon Wealth Management, a member of the Chicago Public Library Board of Directors, and adjunct professor at Northwestern University. Please welcome Secretary of State, Alexi Giannoulias.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm going to try and be brief because it's way more important to hear the victim stories than it is to hear from me. But I do want to recognize people who devoted their lives to this issue. My great friend Rita, thank you for your leadership, thank you for your friendship, thank you for your advocacy. Everyone at AAIM and MAD for your service, for helping out, playing an incredibly important role in our society. I want to thank the heroes of law enforcement who also devoted their lives to helping others on public safety issues. And just fighting for Illinois families. So thank you for your service. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being extraordinary role models. In the Secretary of State's office, we are relentlessly focused on bringing attention to the dangers and tragedy of distracted driving. We talk all the time about why it's so important for people just to put their damn phones down for a little bit. Just put your phones down. It was mentioned that we passed legislation when we got in office to make sure that people could FaceTime or be on Zooms while they're driving. I can't believe we had to pass legislation to do that, but we did. And it was also mentioned something that's very important to us, our One Road, One Focus drive, which we're continuing, is also very important. For the first time ever, any new driver has to watch a video that is pretty jarring, is pretty rough. We hope that it's something that scars them a little bit, not in a bad way, but in a way to remember that nothing is worth a text or an email or a TikTok video. So we're doing all that we can in our office, we're doing all we can in state government. These groups here do all they can, but none of this means anything if we don't tell our friends and our neighbors and our relatives, especially during the holiday season, about the dangers of impaired driving and distracted driving. I agree with what was said earlier. These are not accidents, and they cannot be called accidents. They are crashes, and they are tragic, and they destroy lives and they destroy families. I have a lot of statistics that I can rattle through. You guys know almost all of them. One thing that always sticks out to me, though, the only statistic we ever talk about is deaths. We don't talk about the injuries, the trauma, folks that have been paralyzed, have lost limbs, have to endure brain damage. So those statistics only amplify this. Last piece that I really want to say. The reason that I get so upset and so disheartened by these crashes and these tragedies is because for all the ills of society, we've never made it easier for people to find another way home, or another way to a bar, or another way to see a friend. With Uber, rideshare, with all these options, there are no excuses. There are no excuses for people to drive impaired. It's selfish, it's lazy, it's destructive, and it destroys our families and our communities. So I want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for being here. Most importantly, I want all the families of the victims, all those who have been impacted, to know that from the bottom of my heart, I am so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for the tragedy that has befallen your families. Know that in the Secretary of State's office, we will continue to do everything we possibly can to bring attention to distracted driving and impaired driving. We'll always have an ally in the Secretary of State's office. Again, I want to thank all the organizations that were involved today. I want to thank everyone for telling us their story. And please, 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 especially during this holiday season, find 10, 20 people, remind them about what happens if you drive while you're checking your phone, or while you're impaired, whether you're high on marijuana. These lessons, especially to younger folks, have never been more important. I'm honored to be here today. And again, my heart goes out to anyone who's had to suffer even a little bit due to these tragedies. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Secretary, for sharing with us and encouraging us to move forward with our mission. My name is Christy Hosey, and I'm the Regional Manager of Victim Services for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. It's my pleasure to introduce our victim speaker tonight for MAG, John Marjolis. John is a longtime volunteer with MAG, starting in California and then moving to Illinois, where I was able to bring him into the fold with our state. He's a great guy. If you need a joke, if you need encouragement, and it has been a joy to know you and to learn more about you, and I hope I get to learn some new things tonight. So, we welcome John.
Okay, my name is John Marjolis. Normally, when I go to these things, it's a heavy focus on the collision, right, and the aftermath, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to tell you a little bit different story, since this is a memorial. Okay, I'm going to tell you a bit about my father. Okay, and my mom. So, my mom and my dad had me unexpectedly. In that picture you're looking at, I think they were 18 and 19. They were good. My mom was a good Catholic girl. My dad was a good Greek Orthodox guy, right? And they actually truly did love each other, but they didn't plan on that right away. So, basically, he's a kid. My mom's a kid too, right? Go to the next one, please. That's my dad at 19 holding me in the basement. Yeah, he's hairy. We're all like that, all us Greeks. So, at this point, he had given up the scholarship that he'd gotten for academics in football because he had to take care of me and my mom. My mom also gave up the scholarship for academics. What was interesting about it is there were kids having kids. Heard it before, right? Now, to add to that, my mom passed away at the age of 19. So she actually died of a complication from surgery when she was a kid, consequently leaving my dad. Again, 19-year-old guy who was a kid. No idea how to be a parent. He was living in my grandparents' basement. And he had, and he had to deal with it psychologically. And he withdrew. My dad was kind of a ghost to me from about 1973 up until about 79. He had issues, he didn't want to deal with them, and he came from a culture where it was very suck it up and don't talk about it. So that's what he did. And it showed itself in disassociating, it showed itself in anger, right? The only time I really saw him was when I messed up at school, for the most part, just for him to tell me how bad I was at school. He was also a football player, and he had to give that up, and he was very upset about that. He played at Lane when he was growing up, and he had a scholarship to play football, I think ULI. So I can go to the next one. So what happened in 79? My dad got remarried. We grew up in Chicago, or I grew up in Chicago, actually not too far away from our Jeff Park. And he lived there too. And he got married, he decided to move out to the burbs. So we were living out in Glendale Heights, which was a big change for me, because I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to the suburbs. It was a big change for him. At first, he really couldn't kind of figure it out. He was still the same guy, but he was just in a different location. And then something switched. He became a father. He was engaged with me. He was engaged at my school. He would comfort me, which is something I'm not really used to. There's a standing joke about Greek people that we have resting Greek face, because we always look hungry. I think that's the first time I saw him smile. And some of the sense of humor came out too. For instance, that's him with my cat, Biff. Okay? He named cats based on jokes in his life. Biff was named after the boyfriend of a friend of his, whose name was Buzz. My dad kept calling him Biff. Good everything, right? And then the next one is my cat Toppy. Anybody here remember oven fried chicken? Okay. The lady in that commercial's name was Toppy Smelly. It's on YouTube. And being, having the sense of humor of a 5-year-old, I loved it. Okay. And for the first time, my dad started to act like a human to me. He wasn't just that disciplinarian. He got involved with me at school. He got involved with me when I was playing baseball. He used to take me to soccer games and used to take me all these places, right? And introduced me to a lot of music and really kind of imparted himself on me. And that happened in 79. Actually, let's say 80. Okay? In 82, we moved to Bartlett, brand new house in Bartlett. And it was great. It was very cool. The only thing that stunk is all my friends were in Glendale Heights at that time. So one night, my buddy Dan came over from Glendale Heights. We picked him up. And I remember that night because if you've ever heard of a television show called The Blue and the Gray, It was that night that that was on. And the reason I know that is because we didn't have VCRs back then. We weren't millionaires. And my dad really wanted to watch that show. But what happened is Dan's mom called and said she couldn't come pick him up. She could drop him off. Okay? So we're in the car, going back. My dad was really mad because he so wanted to watch that thing. He was a big Civil War buff, he was a big history buff, right? And we're in the car, and I'm playing with the radio. I'm turning around to my friend. We didn't wear seatbelts back then, I'm not going to lie, right? Nobody forces us to do that. And my dad told me to turn around because I was messing with the stereo. He didn't want me to change the stereo anymore. And then everything went black. That's probably around 3 months before the collision, 3 or 4 months. I was 11 and lying on the ground, covered in blood, surrounded by ambulances. And back then, the police weren't as good as handling trauma. Actually, ambulances weren't either. They didn't really have protocols to do it. So nobody would speak to me. I'm just lying on the ground. It's November 14th. 44-year anniversary, by the way, just passed. Asking, where's my dad? Where's my friend? Nobody would tell me. Next thing you know, I'm being picked up, put into a car or into an ambulance, and I'm freezing. The ambulance, or the paramedics were saying, he's going into shock, and what do? They throw a bunch of blankets on you. That's about it. Took me to Central DuPage, and I was asking, where's my dad? Where's my friend? Where's my dad? Where's my friend? And nobody was telling me anything. And then they gave me drugs, and I passed out. Okay? Put me in for surgery. I woke up in traction, where I would be for 3 months with my leg up in the air with a pin through it. And every time they had to re-break it, they would literally just grab it and break it out. And they got me addicted to morphine and made me quit cold turkey at 11. I didn't even drink, okay? So I'm not that, I wasn't used to them. I'm very affected by those drugs. And then about a week later, the pastor and my stepmother come into the room, my doctor, and they tell me that my dad died. And I didn't feel anything. Because you've got so much going on, you're trying to absorb as a kid, right? You can't cope with these kind of things when you're trying to make yourself better, right? And I was trying to feel better. At that point, they were only feeding me ice chips. I was down to around 35 pounds. So after I got out of the hospital, I was in what was called hip spica cast, which goes from your nipples to your toes for over a year. It took me 3 years to learn about walking and really. And the biggest loss was that I had my father for 2 years, and I only got to experience him for a short time. I think the world lost a bright light. I lost my North Star. And that's why I'm here, hopefully to honor his memory and volunteer to prevent this from happening. Because I don't want a kid to have to go through what I went through. I don't want an adult to have to go through what I went through. So if you're going to take anything away from this, please remember that my dad named my cats after bad jokes. But I just want to say thank you all for coming here. This is a good mission, and it succeeds.
When troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up so I can walk the stormy sea. Then I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk the stormy seas. And I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk the stormy seas. And I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Armour, and I'm a victim advocate with AAIM. And tonight I have the honor of introducing someone who has become near and dear to my heart, not because of what he has endured, but because of the strength that he carries through. I don't see him as a man defined by tragedy. I see him as a fighter, and I'm proud to call him friend. This evening, he speaks not only for himself, but on behalf of his entire family that lives in Nigeria, who cannot be here with us today. Please join me in welcoming Udubong Ogbon as he shares his story.
Good evening, everyone. I'll stand on the existing protocol established by the leader. I want to thank you for the things that you do. I want to thank you for all that you do and inviting me here to talk a little bit about my uncle. Every time I remember my uncle, the tears come back, especially with the song that was just rendered before I walked up here. it reflects everything that my uncle wanted me to be. Because after my dad passed, my uncle became my dad. My name is Udobong Godfrey Obong, nephew of the victim, Reverend Dr. Emmanuel James Safia. I stand here not as a grieving family member, but as someone whose entire life has been profoundly altered by the events of one tragic night, a moment of reckless decision-making where a drunk driver took the life of my uncle. Like I said, my father, my confidant, my counselor, and my spiritual guide. Words cannot fully describe the impact of this loss. Grief does not fit neatly into sentences. Anger does not break smoothly. And the shock and pain that my family and I continue to endure do not follow structure or timeline. But tonight, I will try to give voice to what this tragedy has done to us, to honor my uncle, and to explain why remembrance, accountability, and awareness are deeply personal necessities for families like mine. The one phone call that changed everything. The moment I got the phone call from the state trooper informing me of the death of my uncle, my world shattered. I had just called him a few moments earlier to let him know I was in New York attending a church program. I will not be joining our weekly Sunday prayer meeting. My uncle, he was a pastor, and so he instilled in us that every Sunday, no matter where you are, you have to attend a weekly prayer meeting. And if you don't, then you have to explain why you did not call in, why you did not let him know where you were. That was who my uncle was. The grief felt like a physical blow, as sharp, sudden, and paralyzing. There was no warning, no time to prepare, and no chance to say goodbye to him. Alongside the grief came anger, deep mourning anger. This was not a natural death. He was not sick. It was a direct result of someone choosing to drink and drive, choosing to disregard the safety of others, and ultimately choosing to put my uncle's life at risk. The anger builds when we think about how easily this could have been prevented. And it builds when we consider the way our family has been permanently changed. All because of someone else's irresponsible actions. Who was my uncle? My uncle was a family man. My uncle was the heart of our family, a warm, steady, joyful presence. A man of faith who had the rare gift of making every person feel important. Once you meet my uncle, he will tell you that you are the best person, you are the best thing that God ever brought into this world. That was my uncle. He carried a kind of gentle wisdom that calmed you even when life felt chaotic, and a laughter that could pull you out of the darkest mood. One of my favorite memories is how my uncle will step in to help others without being asked. And his slogan echoes with us till today. And that slogan was, every time my uncle saw it, this was a man that I grew up for the past period of over 40 years that I shared my life on earth with him. I never saw my uncle angry. Never, not once. He never got angry. Why? Because he told you that the thing you have to do is to smile. Because everything is going to be all right. Because why? Jesus loves you. That was my uncle. someone who made the world a little brighter simply because he was in it. After his passing, that's the fourth son. Community service. That's one other thing my uncle wanted to do, wanted to volunteer, wanted to just help, go out and give help. He said that's why we are here on this earth. The emotional toll of this tragedy has brought severe stress-related issues that continue to affect our daily lives. Sleep has become difficult. Flashes of the news, the phone call, the crash, and the images of his child remains and replays in my mind. Some days it is impossible to focus on even the simplest tasks. Other days, the sadness becomes so overwhelming that it feels like carrying a weight too heavy to hold. The fact that he could not be transported back to Nigeria due to the condition of his body, and the fact that none of his children could be at the funeral has continued to haunt us. Families who were once strong and steady have become fragile. I personally experienced fear when I approached the I-57 near the 159th Street exit, the very place where my uncle was killed. Anxiety has become part of our daily lives. We are not just grieving a loss, we are battling the constant stress that comes from trauma, the fear that the world is less safe than it once felt, and the heartbreak of knowing that my uncle's final moments were filled with violence instead of peace. The driver hit him so hard, and he had to hit the median, and his taxi cab busted into flames, so he was completely burnt. In addition to the emotional devastation, the financial consequences have been substantial. Funerals, as we all know, is expensive, buying a casket, burial fees, transportation, legal processes. These costs appeared suddenly and immediately at a time when we were least prepared to deal with them. My uncle had no life insurance. My uncle played a very important role in supporting family members. We did all that we could to stop him from driving after he clocked 75. We tried to, every time he renewed his license, we're always trying to see what can we really do for my uncle to stop driving. But he did not stop driving. He just continued because there were so much responsibilities that he was bearing. He played a very important role in supporting family members, his financial guidance, his contributions, and even his presence during difficult times were things we depended on. Without him, we have faced new financial burdens, expenses he once shared, responsibilities he helped to shoulder. The ongoing process surrounding his death have brought additional financial strain. Every part of our lives, emotional, physical, and financial, has been affected. These are not just bills. These are constant reminders of this tragedy. And the money spent is not simply a cost. It is a price we never expected to pay for someone else's reckless choice. Why do that's here? You have the whole family. That's my uncle seated with his grandchildren. The second son, the first son at the extreme end. His daughters and daughters. It's very hard. I'm sorry I feel somehow every time I have to speak about him. Why do we have this vigil? I am happy that everyone that I've spoken has emphasized that this was not an accident. It wasn't an accident. It was a choice. The driver had a choice. With all that we have, Uber, he had the choice not to drink and drive. So it was a choice. A choice to drink and drive, a choice to risk innocent lives. And because of that choice, my uncle is gone forever, and our family will never be whole again. Driving under the influence is one of the most preventable causes of death, yet it continues to destroy families like mine. What happened to my uncle is not just tragic, it is unacceptable. The seriousness of this cannot be minimized. Accountability is not optional. Awareness is not optional. And I thank the Secretary of State while he was speaking. He says, in this season that we are, you can help everyone by telling your friends the consequences of impaired driving. So you can spread the word. The government can do all that they're doing, but we have to talk to each other. I have a 21-year-old that just, when they clock 21, it becomes that, oh, we have arrived. It's time to drink. And one thing I've always told him and his friends is, if you guys are going out, you must dedicate one person that will have to sacrifice for every other person by not drinking. And that fellow, you guys will contribute money for him to get his own drink and drink at home. Please dedicate someone that will drive you home. If you have to go out to the club, you can't stop them, I'm 21, Daddy, I can think for myself. But please let's let them know that it is not only their own life, it is the life of other innocent road users that we're talking about. That is why this evening matters. And let me share my gratitude to AIMS. During this heartbreaking process, one source of stability and support came from Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists. AIM has been more than an organization to us. They have been a lifeline. Their compassion, guidance, and resources help us navigate an overwhelming and confusing time. We didn't know where to start. But this organization helped us navigate all those times. So on behalf of myself and my entire family, I especially want to acknowledge Lauren Amor, the advocate who worked closely with us. Lauren has done more than anything we could have expected to try to help my family and ensure that those abroad were involved as if distance was not an issue. She showed patience when we were overwhelmed, clarity when we were confused, and strength when we felt like collapsing. She helped us understand our rights, our options, and the process we were facing. She checked in on us, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. For that, we are deeply and eternally grateful, Lord. What do we do now? We have to hold on to hope. Despite all the pain, we still hold on to hope. Hope that raising awareness through AIM's work will prevent another tragedy. Hope that one day we will feel peace again. Hope that the future will be safer because lives like my uncle's will be honored and never forgotten. We cannot bring him back, but we can honor him by refusing silence, by demanding responsibility, and by supporting the work that keeps other families from living this same nightmare that we are going through. In closing, thank you for listening. Thank you for standing with us tonight. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of my uncle, his children, my family, and every victim whose life has been forever changed by impaired driving. AAIMS, thank you indeed. Thank you.
If we could give the gentleman one more hand before. At this time, I would invite our speakers and Secretary Giannoulias to light the candle. I would invite the audience to light their candles, and we will now be reading the names of victims who have lost, who will honor the victims who have lost, and celebrate those who have survived, who are still living with the trauma of experiencing drug driving. Katie Adante, Emmanuel Afifa, Jenny Anderson, Tony Borgia, Tom Razul, Anne Brierly, Frank Salvatore Caruso Jr., Cindy Sabrinsky, Isidro Chavez Jr., Alicia Jane Honors, Graciela Reza Contreras, Jeremy Couture, John Cravens, Kevin Cruz Sr., Quinn Fabroni, David Figueroa Jr., Kaylee Gansberg, Asia Lynn Graham, Lenita and Renaya Geider, John Hauptman, Lee Madison and Felicia Hall and their family pet Lottie, Jamil Harris, Mariah Howard, Leslie Huerta, Robert Kalin, Fernando Caldron, Danny Ibarra, Jahira Ibarra, Nicholas Kilpatrick, Stephen Kamen, Christopher Krenzer, John Kreslin Jr., Mercedes Alani Lambert, Carla Leanos, Alyssa Lindino, Austin Lockwood, Isaiah Lopez, Christopher Lukes. Jacob Martinez, Anthony Morales, Christina Muscle, Stephen Alvarado Nanti, Jim Newman, Nancy Nozica, Mary Ober, Joe Obert Sr., Aaron Olmsted, Patrick Shamishwa, Mark Pulis Jr., Hayden Richmond, Lionel and Morena Rodriguez, Aaron Rollins, Owen Solinsky, Eric J. Solano, Philip Semprini, Carlos Serratos, Corbin Sayal, John Sliding, Teresa Stanley, Megan Swazik, Chauncey Wayne Tucker, Michael Valentin, Cherie Walls, Joy Wayne, Karen Murata Wasco, Kia Watson, Lauren Wegner, Marvin White, Michael White, Natalie White, Diane Wilkerka, Eric Woolley, John Marjolis, George Marjolis, Arthur Fanning Jr., Robin Vogel.
Must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight hit your face. You were content to let me shine. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. Beautiful face without a name, beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would ever be, I could fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I had it right there in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth, that I would be nothing without you. Did you